Good morning, and thank you for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be covering last night's NBA playoff games. We'll also be talking about Reggie Bush. We'll have the Heisman Trophy reinstated. We'll also be talking about Deshaun Watson endorses NFL expansion to Saudi Arabia. And make sure you guys stick around for later in the show when we'll be diving into our Thursday stories of the week. Before we start, though, I would like to ask that you guys like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. The tips and donation link is gsmcpodcast.net. This just puts your question at the top of the list so I can see it, and it also really helps the show. Hello, Tate. How are you doing?
Good morning, Miss Faith.
Good morning.
First off, always comment, I'm a fashion guy. So I've seen the shirt before, always love that shirt. That shirt's awesome.
Thank you. I thrifted it a couple months back. That's cute.
Okay. You know what? I don't know. I've never seen a thrift store here.
I love
they're big in the US, but not so big there.
Me and my
That's
boyfriend
always
love going thrift shop shopping. We love it.
Now, okay, make sure we're on the same page. When you say thrift shop, is that like secondhand clothes and things of that nature? See, I don't know how, I always feel weird about that one. I don't know, I never know how that works. What I like to do, and I respect the whole thrift thing, I'm the guy that likes to go find the place that has the stuff that's been like clearance or they've been shipped to another store. I always buy the stuff, and this works with thrifting as well if you're buying clothes and things. Buy it. I always try to buy one size bigger than it should be. And then I have a tailor it for me. Is that weird to you, or?
Yeah, that is a little weird.
Well, think about it. Like the shirt, like your shirt is awesome, and it looks like it's made for your body. Having shirts that fit your body is like, it looks so much nicer, I feel like. So I always get a shirt that's a little bit bigger, and then have it tailored down to my lumpy body, I guess. My non-six-pack body, let's just say.
Thrifting really isn't that cheap, though. Like, depending on depending on the type of like thrift store you go to, because there are some that they like thrift like really nice secondhand like name brand clothes and things of that nature. Like there's thrift stores, and then there's like vintage stores, and there's like a big difference with that.
Okay,
and I have a vintage.
You got to drop some knowledge on me, because I'm thinking like Goodwill.
I do that too, but
Okay.
I do have like, so I have a vintage Levi's jean jacket, which I love, but I spent
That's awesome.
way too much money on it. I think it was like $90 to $100.
What? Oh, wait a minute. Wait.
It's in
Are
great
you
condition
serious?
though. It's in great condition though. I love it. I wear it almost every day. Like that's my jacket that I bring with me just in case it gets cold. And I do the fun thing where like
I've seen this jacket.
I thrift, like I have vintage pins that I thrift, and then I put the pins on the jacket. I love
You
it
sent me a
so
picture
much.
of you one time, and you had that jacket on because it had pins on it.
Yeah, I love that jacket. It's the best jacket ever.
See, I actually know the jacket you're
Yeah.
talking about on that one.
Yeah.
I didn't know they got that expensive. My wife's sister, aunt, not sister, aunt. They're like sisters, but aunt. She's a huge thrifter. And she thrifts like all over the world. And that's like her big thing, is like some people are like really into it. And it's one of those things. I know a lot of people love it, and it's like awesome. And then you always hear those thrift stories where someone's found something at a thrift store that's worth like a ton.
Yeah, I love it, and it's honestly, it's very very sustainable, and it's better for the environment. So,
See, this is why we do keeping the faith on Tuesday, because you got that big heart.
thank you.
All right, let's dive into the NBA games. Also,
Hmm.
something I didn't share with you today in the production meeting. I'm sharing with the audience. Normally, I give Faith kind of the rundown of the show. She never lets me know what like today's Thursdays are going to be and
Hmm.
things like that. But I do talk to Faith about, I send her links and things of things I want to cover for the
Hmm.
sports related shows. Well, it was like 10:30 at night. I
Mm.
had already was getting set to go to bed, everything. I'm in my good old PJs, ready to go. Not meaning to paint this whole picture for you, Faith. And I go and I'm like, oh, I forgot to send Faith my shows topics. And then
Oh
I
yeah, I did
go,
get that email later in
internet
the
was
day.
down. Internet was down. So I had to get dressed, drive to my office at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, which was here, to send you links for what we're going to talk about today. That's called dedication. My first thought was, I'll just send it to her in the morning. But I was like, nope, I'm going to make sure
You
I'm going to get
honestly
it
could
to
have sent it to me this morning. It wouldn't have made a difference.
her.
I do my prep in the morning before the show, so.
Okay, but yeah, I got up. It was like almost 10 because we went to dinner with a. We had this whole international dinner. We went to dinner for my friend's birthday, who is from London, flew in from London. So, and then we had a British couple and an Irish couple and two Americans at a Portuguese restaurant having dinner, which is like awesome.
That sounds
So
like
that was my night.
a joke.
And our waitress was from Brazil.
Nice.
So it was like a little international dinner thing. So, all right, let's
All
dive
right.
into this basketball situation here.
Alrighty, so we're going to be talking about the NBA playoff games that happened last night. We have the Heat versus the Celtics, and then we also have the Thunder versus the Pelicans. But we're going to start off with the Heat versus the Celtics. So a familiar atmosphere emanated from the visitors' locker room of the TD Garden on Wednesday night. The Miami Heat, just as they did after Game 7 of last season's Eastern Conference Finals, celebrated another road victory over the Boston Celtics. Players cheered, Pacificos flowed, music blared. This may have been only game 2 of a first-round NBA playoff series, but these Heat had extra fuel. We code red. One player could be heard shouting from the locker room following Miami's 111 to 101 series tying upset. He was referencing a comment made by former Celtics forward turned broadcaster Brian Skullbrine in the aftermath.
Scalabrini?
Oh, Scalabrine, yeah. In the aftermath
Okay.
of Boston's blowout Game 1 win. Scalabrine had called Caleb Martin's undercut of the Celtics star Jason Tatum shady, suggesting Heat head coach Eric Spoelstra used a late timeout to order a so-called code red. Both teams spent their day off downplaying the faux controversy. Only the Heat took it to heart. And why not? They were double-digit underdogs for the second straight game. This was supposed to be the league's most lopsided series, with what Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier play both sidelined for the game. Sometimes it all takes a simple math lesson. Boston made 22 three-pointers to Miami's 12 in Game 1. Anyone who listened to the Heat repeatedly noted that 30-point margin in Sunday's post-game interviews could see the adjustment coming on Wednesday. Fire at will that they did, making a franchise playoff record 23 triples on 43 attempts, which is 53.5%, to beat the Celtics at their own game by 33 points at the Arc.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question here.
Oh gosh. Okay.
You didn't know there was a test on this in this class, did you?
No.
If
I'm
I
not prepared.
told you, okay, Faith, if I told you
Yes.
that the Celtics are statistically the best team, statistically, since the Michael Jordan Bulls in the 80s. This year's Celtics, I'm not saying they're the greatest team ever, but this year's Celtics statistically is the best team since the Michael Jordan Bulls that three-peated. They have the third best point differential since the Jordan Bull, but in history, the third best. Then I'm going to say on top of this that maybe their best player, their emotional leader of the team for the Bulls is out, and Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier, which is one of their best players, is out. I mean, for the Heat, Terry Rozier for the Heat is going to be out, so they're missing two of their best players, their emotional leader. The Celtics are one of the best teams in the modern era, statistically speaking, third in point differential. And I gave you that information alone. What's the result of this game?
The result is the Celtics should win.
With ease.
Yeah.
This series should be easy. These games should be easy, but this is the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat has been, it's just like, forget the regular season. When you're talking about Miami, just forget about the regular season. They always rise to the occasion during the playoffs. The last 2 years against number one seeds, they're 5-2 against Eastern Conference number one seeds. The only time they have a problem is when they're in the finals against the number one seed. They're one of the absolute toughest teams to play this time of year. It's just crazy. And then you start looking at this and you say, even though you're saying statistically the Celtics is one of the best teams since the Jordan Bulls, they seem to have a problem finishing games. And that was no different than last night. When you say, hey, Jaylen Brown, 33 points, Tatum, 28 points, it should have been a success. But then you start hearing about them shooting 37% from three land. That wasn't bad. That wasn't horrible. But Kristaps Porzingis, only 6 points. That is what killed them. Outside of Brown and Tatum, the Celtics shot so poorly from three. And then their defensively, they had a hard time defending the three altogether. Miami just played incredibly tough the second half of the game. After halftime, they came out and they started. Miami was firing and hitting, shooting 53.5% from three. Like you said, 23 of 43 attempts they nailed. You can't come back from that. If you allow a team to shoot 53.5% from three, that is a death sentence. I don't care how strong you are. That's hard to come back from. Then you add in, we've been talking about some of these games, Faith, and we talk about how some teams, like we were talking about the Lakers, they have two players that are doing well. Or you look at the Dallas Mavericks and you're like, they have Luka and they have Kyrie. Not Miami. Miami is that ultimate team. Every single starter had double digits. Tyler Herro, 24. Martin, 21. Bam Adebayo, 21 and 10. And that's without Jimmy Butler or Terry Rozier. So with that, it was just, Miami just rises to the occasion of a team that is going to the playoffs. When they're in the playoffs. I know we ran a little long because we had a little extra talk today, but because I know we got another game to jump to. But man, I'm just impressed with how Miami consistently, no matter who they're up against, when it's playoff time, Miami's going to rise to the occasion. Even if you look at the Celtics and you say that this is the year the Celtics are incredibly strong.
Yeah.
So.
Alrighty, well, moving along, we also had the Thunder versus the Pelicans last night. So just a few days ago, the Oklahoma City Thunder looked like a young team struggling through their first playoff game together. On Wednesday night, they looked like grizzled playoff veterans.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm there for you, girl.
Okay.
Right? Soon I heard Shai, I was like, oh, let me dive in there and let me save her right now.
Okay, so he scored 33 points, and the top seeded Thunder beat the New Orleans Pelicans 124-92 to take a 2-0 lead in the first round Western Conference playoff series. Shai said the Thunder remained focused instead of worrying about outside issues such as other highly seeded teams struggling at home. I think it just goes back to us prioritizing winning, he said, and all those things are distractions that get in the way of winning. And every night, all 15 of us go to bed and want to win the next game, want to win the next day, and we do everything we can to do so. Chet Holmgren had 26 points and 7 rebounds. Jalen Williams scored 21 points for the Thunders, who shot 59% from the field and made 14 of 29 three-pointers. Jonas Valanciunas.
Ooh, you're on your own this one. I can't see what you're writing about, so I have to go and see what you're talking about. Sorry.
Jonas so-and-so scored 19 points, and Herb Jones and Brandon Ingram added 18 each for the Pelicans. So the Pelicans continued to struggle on offense with the top scorer Zion Williamson, who remained out of the strained left hamstring. Ingram, New Orleans' number 2 scorer in the regular season, got off just 10 shots in Game 2 as Oklahoma City's Lou Dort harassed him throughout the game. Ingram made just 5 of 17 field goals in Game 1. The Thunder also scored 22 points off New Orleans' 18 turnovers.
Okay. This game, I mean, just on paper, you look at it and you say, no Zion for the Pelicans. You can't overcome that. I mean, the fact that New Orleans did not have Zion, and then you're going to say, hey, the Pelicans struggling defensively, no Zion. That's a death sentence. Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just cooked them. They got almost 60 points just between those two guys. They just defensively, they could not stop those guys. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 33 points, 13 from 19 shooting. They shot 59% from the Thunder shot 59% from the field. 48% from 3. When you say 48% from 3, that's a death sentence right there. Chet Holmgren, 26, 9 of 13 shooting. Oklahoma City's being able to their offense is based off of a lot of ball movement, and New Orleans couldn't adjust to and shift the defense to defend them, and there was just so many wide open threes. The ball movement was just too much. On the other side of the ball, Oklahoma City Thunder's defense was just overwhelming, forcing 18 turnovers for a 32-point win. It was an outright blowout. I think this is the second largest playoff loss since Oklahoma City has been playing in Oklahoma. This was just a beatdown, Faith. That's all you can say. It was a 32-point beatdown.
I mean, looking at the score, you can definitely be like, yeah, this is a beatdown.
When you say you your team is just not on the same level,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're missing your most dynamic player in Zion,
Mm-hmm.
there's no shot. There's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely no shot that New Orleans had against them when you're looking at a situation where you don't have an offensive weapon, like you're missing an offensive weapon like Zion, and defensively, you have no answer to the ball movement and the defensive, and you can't you have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander just slicing you up like
Mm-hmm.
butter. I mean, just slicing you up. It was an easy night. It was,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? It was an easy night for Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm impressed by these Thunder. Man, they
Mm-hmm.
don't act like this is their first time being here. Oklahoma, this is a young team that is incredibly talented. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
So,
Alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Reggie Bush being reinstated with his Heisman Trophy, and we'll also be talking about Deshaun Watson endorsing NFL expansion to Saudi Arabia. So make sure you guys stick around, and we will be back in a minute.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were talking about the NBA playoff games that happened last night, and now we're going to be talking about Reggie Bush. We'll have the Heisman Trophy reinstated, and we'll also be discussing Deshaun Watson endorsing the NFL expansion to Saudi Arabia. But before we do that, I just wanted to remind you guys to like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. That link is gsmcpodcast.net. This just puts your question at the top of the list so I can see it, and it also really helps the show. So you should do it.
right. See,
Sprinkle that in there every now and then.
You, my dear, are in mid-season form today. I'm liking it. You're on a roll, Miss
Thank
Faith.
you.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, Reggie Bush, let me just start over. Heisman Trophy makes historic decision on Reggie Bush. So one of college football's biggest recent controversies has been resolved as the Heisman Trust will reinstate the Heisman Trophy to former USC Trojans running back Reggie Bush. According to ESPN, the Heisman Trust is poised to announce the reinstatement of the trophy to Bush amid what the trust referred to as enormous changes in the college football landscape. Bush forfeited his Heisman in 2010 amid a wave of significant sanctions in the NCAA imposed against USC, which included the claim that Bush received improper benefits during his career with the Trojans. As part of this decision, Bush will once again be invited to all future Heisman Trophy ceremonies beginning this season. Personally, I'm thrilled to reunite with my fellow Heisman winners and be part of the story legacy of the Heisman Trophy, and I'm honored to return to the Heisman family, Bush said via ESPN. I also look forward to working together with the Heisman Trust to advance the values and missions of the organization. Bush won the Heisman Trophy following the 2005 season, rushing for 1,740 yards and 16 touchdowns while catching 37 passes for 478 yards and 2 additional scores. USC went undefeated in the regular season until an epic loss to Texas in the BCS National Championship game.
Okay. There are a number of wrongs that I feel like college football should fix.
Mm-hmm.
The Fab Five, all their wins need to be reinstated. Reggie Bush should get his Heisman Trophy back.
Mm-hmm.
USC should be able to get their wins back.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like SMU should be compensated as well. And I'll talk on SMU in a second. But let's talk about Reggie Bush first. This was the right decision. Reggie Bush his Heisman Trophy was taken from him because they say that his dad got improper benefits, meaning he was able to move to Southern California and get a job. They moved him to Southern California, and they got him a job at another place where his dad could actually work so he could play at USC. This came down the line. USC, they had to vacate wins. Pete Carroll ended up leaving USC, and Reggie Bush lost his Heisman Trophy. Fast forward, if college football would have been doing the right thing back then, this should have never happened in the first place. I look at like Jim Trussell having to leave Ohio State, Terrell Pryor being pushed out. You look at all these guys over the years who the lives have been changed, altered, or ruined. Mm-hmm. And you see why when you're looking at that lawsuit that is coming down, the name, image, and likeness lawsuit is coming down the pike, why the NCAA is worried. Because they look hypocritical. They were taking advantage of these players and saying under the veil of amateurism. Mm-hmm. Well, Reggie Bush was the best. Reggie Bush and Vince Young were the best two players in college football, and it wasn't even close. Mm-hmm. And because his dad was able to move to Southern California and get a job, he had his Heisman taken from him. It's a travesty. And so finally, they have gone and made a right, and Reggie Bush is allowed to be considered a Heisman Trophy winner. Even though for years, everyone has been like, officially, Reggie Bush is not a Heisman Trophy winner. Everyone knows Reggie Bush won the Heisman that year. Mm-hmm. But this is just an example of how hypocritical college football and the Heisman Trophy organization has been, college football as a whole has been up until recently, where now players can actually make money off of their name, image, and likeness. How if you're a poor kid and you want to go play for Georgia, you can go and play for Georgia and send money home. Or your parents can move to Athens and live in Athens while supporting their kid who is trying to play college football and trying to get to the pros. Mm-hmm. This is something that all college players should have been able to do. I see this, and it makes me, it disappoints me, because this opens up the door for why these lawsuits are in place. Mm-hmm. And also, when I hear this, it makes me think about SMU. And you may not be familiar with SMU. So I'm going to give you an example. Imagine, you think about how many players Georgia pays each year, right? So imagine if the NCAA came to the University of Georgia and said, it is illegal what you've been doing, that you've been giving players money for players to have a little extra money while they're playing at University of Georgia. Mm-hmm. You've broken a rule. We're going to take some scholarships from you. Oh, we found out you broke that rule again. So Faith, imagine this. Every single player that plays sports for the University of Georgia no longer can play sports. All Georgia sports have been banned. And you cannot play college sports, anything, gymnastics, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, wrestling. Everything is taken from you for like a decade. You're no longer even allowed to be in the SEC any longer. It's all been taken from you. Well, guess what, Faith? That is what happened to SMU for doing just that. SMU was in the Southwest Conference, or it was the Big 12, the Big 8 Conference, one of those conferences, which was equivalent of the SEC back then, mm-hmm. the equal of the SEC. SMU was a football powerhouse. They had Craig James and Eric Dickerson. They were the Pony Express, and they were one of the best teams in football. College football came and gave them the death penalty and took all sports from them. They got removed from the conference. All the players had to leave, no sports for an extended period of time, and they never overcame it until last year, where they had to pay no money for 10 years to get into the ACC. So this will be the first year that they've been in a Power 5 conference since the death penalty. It's taken them almost 30, 40 years to overcome the death penalty because college football did not want to pay their players. I feel like I'm happy that Reggie Bush has his Heisman Trophy back. And ultimately, I would love to see SMU sue the NCAA for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, because these players, for what Georgia is doing, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, TCU, University of Akron, everyone does it now. They got the death penalty for it. Reggie Bush lost his Heisman Trophy. Go ahead, fire away.
That's my only qualm. Well, not my only. That is one of my qualms.
I was like, that's the only one? Let me sit up for this.
That is one of my qualms with the NCAA is it seems like they pick and choose who to punish for certain things and people that have violated things. That is one of my qualms with the NCAA, and I'm glad to see that a lot of things are coming to light now, and lawsuits are happening, and things are getting reinstated and fixed of that. So, yeah.
Look at this. The University of Miami was the most dominant program in college football. Mm-hmm. Michael Irvin, Vinny Testaverde, Bernie Kosar, Warren Sapp, Willis McGahee, Ray Lewis. Mm-hmm. These guys, the Miami Hurricanes was a powerhouse. National championship after national championship, just like Alabama. Before Alabama, the Nick Saban Alabama. So they were the most dominant program. The Miami Hurricanes teams in the 80s are some of the greatest teams to ever play football in history of college football. But because there was a few players that got and these were not wealthy kids. Some of these, they found out some players, a booster, not the school. It was a booster and a rapper started giving players a job and some extra money. And it wasn't, when you look at this, it wasn't huge, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. It was a couple thousand here, 100 there, things like that. I remember watching a thing where Luke Campbell, the rapper from Two Live Crew, he would give players $100 because one guy he didn't have money for food. So Luke gave him some money here, there. They were getting money. The college NCAA gave them so many penalties that the Miami powerhouse program, right to this day, is no longer a powerhouse program, which then brought on the rise of Alabama, LSU, Georgia. Before that, Miami was it, because the NCAA punished players for getting a little bit of money. This wasn't 20 million, $30 million or anything like this. This was 100 here, 1,000 here, 100 here. Players got in trouble for doing whatever they could to get a little extra money while they were playing football, and they got suspended, and their entire franchise, which is the Miami Hurricane football program, was crippled because of this. USC lost so many scholarships. USC was winning national championships. They were putting together some of the best programs in football. And this whole Reggie Bush thing, Reggie Bush lost his Heisman Trophy. USC lost wins. Pete Carroll had to leave. All of that because of all that has gone down. So yes, I mean, I think this is just one step, but all these lawsuits will show that, I mean, all of this is showing that the NCAA had done a lot of dirt, and had done a lot of dirt and cost a lot of teams and organizations not just a Heisman Trophy, but entire franchises. Miami, USC, SMU have been crippled because of some of the things that the NCAA has done, and now, which is legal, that they openly do to everyone. I just think it's crazy. That's the reason why everyone's afraid of these lawsuits, because it's coming.
Yeah.
And it's going to cripple college football.
Which is unfortunate. But with that, guys, we are going to take a short break, and we will be back in a minute.
All right.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were talking about the reinstatement of the Heisman Trophy for Reggie Bush, and now we're going to dive into our Thirsty Thursday stories of the week. We actually,
I was taking a drink. I was taking a drink because I'm thirsty for these Thirsty Thursday stories here.
We actually have two this week. I just want to go ahead and say this on air. Our second one, which we will do after our third break, Tate picked that one out. So I just want to let that be known. Want to put that public on the internet. Tate picked the second one. So
yes, I did.
It'll be an interesting one. But
yes, it will.
Yeah. So okay. Anyway.
Wait. Anyone that's watching would love to have your comments. If you got some comments to add in here, freely contribute because I would
Yes.
love to hear other people's comments as well, because that's a doozy.
That
So
is
this is the
doozy.
first time I actually know one of the two Thirsty Thursday topics.
Yes. Okay. But this one I picked out. I found on Reddit.
Okay.
So 4 years ago, I started drinking around 3 p.m. with my close friends and continued until 9 p.m. Our third housemate came home around 9 p.m. and he had those fire torches burning in the stadiums with him. He was a fanatic and was going to the football game the next day. As the hour passed, I wanted to light a cigarette to accompany my glass, but I could not find my lighter. Then the crazy idea came to me and I took the torch and lit it inside the apartment. My eyebrows and eyelashes burned, but I was too drunk to feel any pain. We couldn't breathe because it was like a smoke bomb had been thrown into the room. Neighbors rushed to help, but when they saw our situation, they cursed and left. We apologized to the fire department called by the neighbors and were warned by cops. Even though we left all the windows open, I swear that torch smell didn't come out for 2 days. We stayed with our friends for 2 days and only had coffee there.
Okay. I need the beginning again. What did what torch? Fill me in. What did I miss?
I don't necessarily know. Fire torches that burning in the stadium with him. That's what he said. I don't know what a fire torch is. Maybe this is like a language barrier thing. I don't know if this happened in a different country and they have a different name. We have a different name for it. So I don't know what they mean by fire torches.
Okay, here's the reason why I'm concerned and curious. Because it burned his hair off. It burned his eyebrows and everything off.
Yeah, so that's making me wonder if is a flare or something.
See, I was
That's
thinking
what
more
I
like
took.
it's a like there was film and they lit a match and it poof. I don't know.
I have no clue. I don't know.
I am this one I'm a little confused on. Do you have comments on this one?
I do not think there were any comments left on this one. I'll double check though.
Let's see if there's one, because the first off, as a former college student, former guy who used to live in a fraternity house, I have seen many things go awry with flames.
Yes.
So guys are dumb.
Guys are dumb.
And they love doing silly things. Okay. I saw a guy accidentally set his butt on fire once at my fraternity house. This is a true story.
I
Dealing with
believe
flames.
you don't even need
Flames and alcohol.
You don't need to explain yourself when you say this is a true story. If it's
All
a
right.
man involving fire and something, he lights himself on fire somewhere, I already believe you.
Okay, so I'm going to change this one up and make this one another true story. This guy's name was Greg. I keep wanting to slip up and get first and last name, but his name was Greg. And I live in a different time than you did. So at a certain time on the floor, they would have lights out. And I think it was like at midnight or something. And they turn all the lights out on the floor except for your room. And so the hallways would become pitch dark. And so it became this tradition that at midnight, they would play music at the dorm, the lights would go out, and this guy, Greg, would take a lighter and release the hounds.
Oh my God.
Meaning he would pass gas and light it.
Ew.
And it would light up the hallway and everyone would cheer.
Oh,
True story.
Man.
So releasing the hounds, let's just say. And one day the lights went out, the music went on, and he set his whole backside on fire. Toasted his whole butt. So I tell you that.
I always wonder how, so many men have survived this long and are still alive, because the things that men do, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand how the whole world, that women haven't decided, like, you know what, there's a better way out there. Do we really need men? Can we just move on? Can we just leave all the men on an island somewhere? I have never figured out why women have been like, you know what, I need, right there. That's what I need right there. This guy, I couldn't tell you.
I know, I know him well. He is married. He has like 5 kids, and they all look up at him as, oh, daddy, he's so great. And I look at him as, that's the dude that used to would pass gas and light it on fire to announce that the lights were out every night for an entire semester.
Yeah.
That's dad. If kids only knew all the things that their dads have done, 30, 40 years ago, the kids would all be like, I just want to be put up for adoption.
That's why they wait to tell you until after you're an adult.
All right, what were you going to say about that? You're going to say like, why do women? I'm like, why haven't women figured out just like, you don't need guys, just move on?
I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you. But it just takes that one man, because I love my boyfriend so much. I don't know where I would be without him. But there are some things that he does, and I'm like, how are you still alive?
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure this is crystal clear. I am no different. I have done some horrifically dumb things in my life. That's just rite of passage of being a guy.
I guess I feel like women do too, though, because I definitely have done some questionable things. Of course, when those questionable things were done, I was under the influence of alcohol. So
see, I can't even say that. I was stone cold sober through all of it.
So I guess women aren't that much different, but I feel like men take it to another level.
Okay,
y'all take it to the extreme.
This is the rule, survival of the fittest. What is it called?
Survival of the fittest?
No, the doctor that came up with it.
Darwin?
Darwin, yes. Darwin is full of crap. Absolutely full of crap. Because if it truly was the survival of the fittest, for all the dumb things that men do, we would be extinct. If it literally was the fittest people, the people that make the smartest decisions in life, they're the ones that survive. No, it is survival of the luckiest. It's like, hey, he didn't die when he said it.
You can include that for sure in survival of the fittest. Because
he didn't die because he set his butt on fire, but he didn't die from it. So now he was able to procreate, and now he's a dad of 5 great kids.
Well, I'm sure he doesn't do it now. You do a bunch of stupid stuff when you're in college. Everybody does.
You do. That's what I'm saying. And you're lucky that it didn't come back to bite you in the butt or burn your butt. That's what I meant. Survival of the luckiest.
Yeah. That's all life is, really, luck.
Yes. I was a fool. I went on a trip to West Virginia. I couldn't swim. I got on class 5 rapids. Even though I couldn't swim, got a life vest on, got knocked out of the boat, out of the raft, got sucked in the air pocket, got sucked under a boulder. I couldn't get out. I finally pushed. I finally got out of this thing. barely made it, survived. I'm 54, still going strong. I was just a lucky dude who did something really stupid. Should not have been rafting when you can't swim in the first place. But luck has it, I'm still kicking.
No comment on that.
Not only that, that same trip, a few days later, my friends went cliff diving off of a cliff. It was like a 40, 50-foot cliff into water. I can't swim.
Please
So
tell
I
me
had
you
my,
did.
oh yes, I did. Of course I did. I had all my fraternity brothers wait down at the bottom as I jumped off, dove, did a flip into water that I can't swim, went in, and then my buddies grabbed me, got me out. Like I said, even I have done foolish things. Survival of the luckiest.
Let me ask you a question. Did you learn how to swim after that?
Oh, hell no. I can't. I live on the ocean right now. Can't swim a lick.
You would think after this man who almost died from being caught in a boulder and then doing cliff diving and having to have his friends wait down for him at the bottom to make sure that he didn't drown, you think after that Tate would have been like, you know, maybe it's time for me to learn how to swim. But Tate's just saying, I don't need to learn how to do that.
You know what? We need to change this topic because we didn't really go with the topic today. We need to change the name of this. I don't quite know what it is.
Oh, gosh.
Foolish things that Tate has done. But yeah, I remember, and thank God, I almost skipped instructions for the whitewater rafting because you had to take a class. And I showed up late to this thing. This is college age Tate. And the lady was telling us, like, listen, if you get stuck into an air pocket, don't use your hands because you're not strong enough to push out and you will not be able to get out. You have to turn and use your feet to push out and get out, and then it will shoot you down the rapids. And so I made it for that part of the training class.
That's God right there.
True story. I'm telling you the truth. So
that is strictly God right there.
There is no reason why this fool right here should be going whitewater rafting when he can't swim a lick. Never been afraid of water.
What's funny is you didn't learn your lesson either. You went cliff diving the next day.
So we went, when the boulder stuck me, I got sucked under and up under the boulder. It was this giant boulder into an air pocket. I held my breath as hard as I could and I pushed off and it sucked me back in. I pushed off again. It sucked me back in. And then last second, as I'm like, oh crap, I'm in trouble, I remember the lady saying, tuck in a ball and push with your feet, and it actually works. Ladies and gentlemen, you get stuck in an air pocket while whitewater rafting, use your feet, not your hands. I used my legs. I pushed off. It shot me out like a jet. I came back to the surface. My buddies pulled me back in, and we just kept on down the river. I didn't say, Faith, no, I don't need. We need to pull over. We just kept on going. Finished the path, the trail.
All right, guys. I think it's time for a break.
Survival of the luckiest. Am I right?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And because of that, because I'm lucky, I'm able to do a show and tell you what a fool I was on a show that I do with you because I was lucky.
Yep. All right, guys. I have no words. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue with our Thirsty Thursday stories of the week. So make sure you guys stick around, and we will be back in a minute.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Earlier, we were talking about our Thirsty Thursday stories of the week, and now we're going to continue that. Although the story that we were talking about in the beginning, we kind of resulted in not really talking about the story, and then somehow ended up on the topic of Tate talking about bad decisions that he made throughout his life. So, but now we're going to dive into another Thirsty Thursday story for the week. I just want to reinstate that Tate picked this story out. I did not pick this story out, so I just want to put that out there again. But this is a good one. This is a good one.
Okay, first questions for you.
Yes.
Were you able to find like the transcripts for it and all of that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Woo! This is a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. Let me clear my throat for this one. Yes, sir.
Okay, so during a recent episode of the Life Uncut podcast with hosts Laura Bryan and Brittany Hockley, one anonymous woman sent in a letter opening up about a chaotic ordeal. It read, "I am at an absolute loss. My fiance and I have been together for 6 years. We have an amazing relationship, and shortly after we got engaged, we decided to make our secret fantasy a reality. I asked my fiance if he would be willing to have a threesome, a one-off experience for both before we get married. We both agreed to do this, and I ended up asking a friend of mine if she would be willing. The trio then all agreed, and after a lot of communication, they all communicated the ins and out, pardon the pun, of the impending threesome. Fast forward to the night, and we all had quite a bit to drink, and to be honest, the whole night felt like an exciting blur. However, it seemed that the wild night came at a cost, as the friend later called the bride and dropped an absolute bombshell on her. The letter revealed she told me that she was pregnant, and that my fiance is the father. The bride then called up her partner straight away, to which he reacted, "Oh my God." I actually think the method of protection that they used did break, but I was too drunk to remember or to even think about talking about it. And the kicker is the friend decided to keep the baby. The bride went on to share how she actually was totally lost on how to now navigate the situation, as she feels sick at the thought of her soon-to-be hubby having a child with another woman, let alone when that other woman is her friend. I feel really blindsided, the letter continued. I have no idea what to do. How do I even process this? How do we explain this to friends and family? How do we know if this can even work? I feel so overwhelmed.
Okay, first off, the protection that they use, you can't be going to Walmart getting those great value discounted protection. You understand? Don't be cutting corners. You can't be buy one get 50 free discount ones. You gotta get the name brand steel belted radios. You cannot be cutting corners when you about to go Jumanji in this whole world that you're about to go into.
The word choices are really great. I really appreciate the word choices you were using for this.
Faith, I could not let this one pass. When I saw this, I got the vapors. But you know. Oh my God.
Oh my God is right. Yeah.
You get to go first.
Why do I
guess.
get to go first?
Well, I've used still budded radios, the vapors, great value.
You would never catch me in this type of situation. I just want to put that out there. This would never be a situation that Faith would ever put herself in.
We're not passing judgment on anyone that wants to get their fly their freak flag. Let them fly their freak flag.
Do whatever you want to do with your partner, as long as you know it's consensual and there's been communication involved with that. Do whatever you want to do that's going to make each other happy. But for me...
Can I say two things? Before you give yours, can I say two things real quick? Okay. The first thing I said before the last segment was survival of the luckiest. Sometimes you don't get lucky in life.
No.
Second thing I want to refresh your memory on, something I always say, there's consequences and repercussions for your actions. Am I right?
You're right.
Both of these apply. Now, Miss Faith.
You would never, this would never, ever, 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 ever happen to me. I would never, ever do something like this. I'm an extremely jealous person. So it's me and whoever I'm involved with. There would never be a third
she's
party.
Extremely jealous. Okay, I got you on this one.
There would never be a third.
Extremely jealous.
There would never be a third party involved. With saying that, I am not throwing judgment on anybody who, is interested in this type of thing or is interested in polyamorous relationships. Whatever makes you happy in life. As long as it's legal and it's not hurting anybody, have a good time. But this is not a situation you would ever find faith in.
Keep on. This is the girl. Roll with this one. Okay, first off, let's talk about.
I want to drop too much information out about me on the internet. So.
Yeah, please
On
don't
a
make it
show
too
that
personal on your mom,
show that my
grandma.
family watches.
No. We're not talking about personal dealings. First off, but we're talking about this. Okay, I understand where they're coming from with this so far, and they're like, okay, they've done everything right. Okay, honestly, when you think about the situation,
I was thoroughly impressed. They sat down, they had a conversation, they agreed on somebody to do it with, and then they had a conversation with that person, they agreed, and then they all three sat together and had a conversation, figuring out what was going to work.
They did more than a conversation, there was more than a conversation.
That was after the conversation. That was after the conversation. But they all sat down, had communication-wise, I salute y'all. Y'all did great with the communication.
It's better than if its story would have started out with we were drinking tequila in Tijuana. You know what I mean? Then it would be done wrong.
Yeah.
It was done wrong. But this couple was like, you know what? And I think she is the one that brought this up. It wasn't he. It was she that brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, because a lot of times, most times, it's the guy that brings it up. And the girl is just trying to make the guy happy. Oh no, not this one. Makes this one extra caliente.
Pause real quick. I just want to say, from all the stories that I've read and things I've seen on TikTok involving a threesome, I have never heard a successful story with the threesome. I have never heard a story about a couple having a threesome and it working out in any capacity.
Because it's the sizzle. The sizzle sells. You're not gonna hear the story. Yeah, we had a threesome and it was so great. And then afterward, we went to the library and read. It's just not gonna be. It's not those kind of stories. It's the story with the sizzle that sticks it. This is a story that sticks the landing. Mm-hmm. It was, hey, She came to me and said, what do you think about a threesome? Most of the guys are going to be like, oh, no, we can't do that. Of course the guy's going to be like, do you need me to sign anything? Do you need some blood, DNA? What do you need?
Okay, more often than not, yes, but there are men out there who would say no.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from.
But more often than not, yes.
Yes. We're generalizing the general male population when we're talking about this topic here. So, knowing that everyone has thought about this, the next thing, that's why I said you can't be going and buying your protection from the Walmart great value clearance aisle.
Or you can't use old stuff, because that also happens too. You got to get brand new ones, because if they're over,
Yes.
I think if they're over a year old, you're not supposed to use them. So
You can't use the one that you had in your wallet from 8th grade. and you went to 8th grade in the 90s. It's 2026. You can't use the 30-year-old one from your wallet from 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You need fresh quality equipment for the job.
Oh my God.
Second of all, so then things get popping. Everybody's dropping it like it's hot.
Oh my God.
And
your word choice. It's your word choice for me.
Everyone's dropping it like it's hot. Everyone's like, oh geez, what a wonderful moment. Now Becky got little Jimmy. Now little Jimmy's gonna be at the wedding in a little tux. Because they shouldn't jump into. Okay, first off, Faith, there's multiple questions here. We're skipping some of the great parts. First off, if you're the friend,
Mm-hmm.
and you realize like, oh, I'm pregnant, what goes to your head? Do you just spontaneously combust right then and there and just die? What goes to your head when you're like, oh God, I gotta tell someone, I gotta tell my best friend, my best friend Becky?
I can't tell you, because I've never been in that situation.
No. I'm not putting you in that situation. I'm just saying, thinking about putting yourself in her shoes. What the heck? Okay.
I don't know.
How do you have this conversation?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you can't even imagine that type of scenario unless you are in it in that moment. I can't tell you what the thought process would be. I can't tell you what the conversation would be like. I don't know.
Are you not moving to Topeka? just like, what happened?
To where?
Topeka, Kansas. Because that's the witness protection city of America right there.
Oh.
No one's going to find you. You just disappear and everyone wonders what happened to her.
No, you can't do that, because one day that kid's going to be like, well, who's my dad? And then the kid's going to try and find the dad. And then like 20 years later, they're going to find out that she ended up becoming pregnant because of that.
Faith.
And so that would just be a whole nother can of worms. So it's better to rip the Band-Aid off now than rip the Band-Aid off 20 years from now.
Maybe they should have stopped ripping Band-Aids in general, okay? Maybe that was the problem in the first place. Okay, next one. So then you finally, you drop the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Becky, I'm pregnant and I'm keeping the kid. I'm keeping little Jimmy. So little Jimmy's going to be in our life. So we keeping little Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
So now, because she went and told Becky first.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, you get that news. That's like, wait. You said you're pregnant by my fiance?
And that's when you go in the bathroom for about 30 minutes, throwing up everything you've eaten since the bane of your existence.
Faith, it's worse. It's worse than that, Faith. Because you know what the first thing goes to your head as all the blood rushes from your face? It hits you. My best friend is pregnant by my fiance. And I'm the one that came up with this. So she can't even be mad at him and say, hey, you talked me into this. You suck. No. No
one says she's mad at the fiance. Nobody said she's mad at the fiance.
Woo.
And I do want to note that it did say our secret fantasy. So it obviously, if she says our secret fantasy, it's something that they have probably talked about in the past. So you cannot put all the blame.
No, Faith, I agree with you.
Honestly,
120%.
I don't think you can put blame on anybody. I think it's just a freak accident.
I'm being silly because it's a funny story.
I think it's just freak accident that I'm sure in a million years they didn't think would happen, and then it did happen. And now what the heck are you supposed to do?
This is a survival.
An update. I need an update to the story.
All right, here's your survival of the fittest. For everyone that's heard that's hearing this story right now, here's the survival of the fittest news. Going forward, for any couple that has decided to go the same route as this couple, you got to make sure you're using quality equipment that's new, fresh equipment, along with all members need to make sure their prescriptions have been filled as well. On top of that,
I was going to say, double up on those contraceptives.
That's all I'm saying. Don't get the name brand. Make sure it has expiration date past spoilage.
There are there are a plethora of contraceptives to use, and if you
make
are
sure
the
that
type
prescription's up to date. So,
if you're the type of person though who doesn't want to take that medication because that medication has repercussions and effects on your body, if you don't want to do that, there you can run to the store the next morning and get something.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing. You know what, though? If there's anyone, there is someone to blame. The guy. Because you take a look at this stuff. Well, hear me out before. It's the guys that blame. Because what did he say? Yeah, I remember.
I thought it snapped,
crackled, and popped. But
he said, "Oh my God, I actually think it did break, but I was too drunk to remember or even think about talking about it." So
that shows we're just gonna go ahead and keep the party going. If I'm blaming anyone, I'm blaming him.
Let me tell you something. You don't.
Because there's wait. Oh, sorry. I apologize for cutting you off. Nothing is more sobering than, oh crap. Am I right?
It's not even that. So I think, a lot of people's thought process is it's a mood killer. No, you know what's a mood killer? Finding out 2 weeks later that you've got a little one coming along after that. That's a mood killer. So
I think it's like 2 months later, but yes, I understand where you're coming from.
2 months. You can find out 7 days afterwards.
I understand. It's rarely people actually know these things until a few months later.
Anyway,
I got you.
But so word of advice, guys. If you are in any type of situation where you
I'm gonna turn the lights down a little bit.
This is advice from Faith. If you are in a situation where you realize that your method of contraception is no longer working to its full potential, stop. Communicate with your partner. Figure out what the solution is for that. And then you can continue. Because you know what's hot? Communication. Communication is hot. Communication is sexy. Okay?
No, it is not. No, it is not sexy. Little Jimmy.
Little Jimmy. If that's not what you're going
is
for.
not sexy.
If that's
Right.
not what you're going for, little Jimmy is not sexy. So,
Yeah, no.
but I think we're all out of time for today's episode. So, you know, I would love to talk about you guys with this in the comments. So, you know, drop your comments. Let's have a conversation. All right, guys. Well, with that, we're going to close out our show for the day. Thank you so much for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content updates. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you, little Jimmy.
Make sure to have good contraceptives. All right. Bye, guys.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.